and I think it is good afternoon. It looks pretty gloomy up there. It's very cold. Okay. We have about 33, 44 degrees outside. So, pretty good, tomorrow it's supposed to snow, I think. I am actually going to check, whether I'm still live here. My channel. Dun, dun, dun. There is something live there. So I'm going to mute that instantaneously. So channel. There is some. Yeah, there you go. I can see myself, the whole of me. And I think some part of it, when I'm actually going to recite the poem, I won't be able to show the poem, when I'm reciting it live, on the screen. So I'm going to actually post the text of the poem, in the description. That will be after I do the show, because I cannot edit, anything right now. So I'm going to go to lonelypod.com and I'm going to read that poem. But before that, okay, let me go into the blog post. Give you an idea if you are completely new to my YouTube page, what this is. When I write a poem, I actually take a real life context, and real life event or context or whatever you call it. I take something real and then I actually manipulate that, and make it or try to give it a universal appeal. That is the idea of me reciting poems. When I'm reciting the poem, when I'm writing the poem, or when I actually finish the poem, I actually go into my blog website, which is called poetrybox.us, and you can see what exactly was the trigger point of the poem. And in this, I posted the picture of a fantastically pretty lady, in there. And the context connects to a fantastically beautiful lady, and she knows who she is. I'm not going to name her. Only thing I can see is say is Carolina. So that's a model I used when I'm writing the poem. That's a real part. So this is what I wrote. A very simple poem that I wrote looking at the images of a lady who, like I said in the poem, through her simplistic beauty and charm, gave me a feeling of unwavering attachment. This poem was an expression of what I felt. Going back, okay, this poem was posted on July 6th, 2022. Going back to all that, it has been a little while since I wrote the poem and posted it, and she read the poem. Let me come and very openly tell you, okay, even though it is called a sprouting romantic dream, it said a very key part in this is the last part of it. Romantic dream, okay? It is a dream. Why I said dream was, okay, we were actually communicating, we were talking, and at that time it came out to, how do you come to, there are two sides to every event in your life. One is something you imagine in your head, and the next part is the reality of it. Once it comes to the reality from that dream, there are hundreds of others going to connect to it. This is what I was actually thinking. Okay, what are the connecting factors in the real life? And she gave me a suggestion, and it took from there. Sometimes it takes time for a dream to come after someone I dreamt of dies in the heart. Well, it didn't take much time and effort. This girl is younger than the previous one and not betraying type. So happiness comes for the good of us. I'm going to step back and say what exactly was the thing that died. Okay, there was a person who, using all her means, betrayed me and herself and went and married somebody else. I really liked that girl, and I told her I liked her, but she said I'm way too old for her, which may be true, may not be true. I don't know what is too old for anything, especially when it comes to romance. But anyway, each person has their own choice. I respect their choice, of going and marrying somebody whom she thinks is going to do better than anyone out there, like every girl's choice. So then that dream need to die, completely die. And it is like, when you are in seeing a tree during summer days, it is all, fantastically green, and then it sprouts out flowers, and it brings out a lot of other things in your life. uh, then the fall comes in, and then the tree has to shed all its greenery and become dry, like the three trees I'm seeing. I can see from where I'm sitting, many trees who were like completely, maples and oaks, those are standing here in front of me. They were all gone. I mean, nothing. They are all bare naked right now. This is the context I'm actually taking from that point. I mean, from there, it didn't take much time for a dreamer or a poet to actually come out with something new. But that doesn't necessarily mean we are already in romance with a girl. That's one of the key part I said. The girl is younger than the previous one. This girl is, very young. I mean, when I'm talking about my age, I'm 52 years old, going to be 53. The other girl, the new girl, or the model I was talking to, only was 19 years old. So I told her, I'm going to write a poem, okay? But I'm not going to actually, do any romantic things with you, because that's, you may have to find somebody closer to your age. Okay, I'm way too old for you. I told her the fact is that, I'm way too old for that girl. But she said, I understand, but I will be able to help you, with a young romance, especially in the poem. So I said, like, okay, let's do this. And her, some of the things she said was much more mature than her age. She was not acting like a teenager. She's still a teenager, 19. She told me, here, understand this. You had a problem, and that is very real. And that problem is right in front of you. And at this point, you may have to be very honest with you. You don't have to be honest with anyone because you don't have anyone. So that's the context. I mean, that's what coming in. The trigger points are coming at that point. And I said, okay, what is it? What if you find a girl to fall in love with? I said, we don't actually find people to fall in love with. Love happens, when two people communicate and two people get together, when they actually understand each other and they like that understanding, and then go beyond that point to see if they match in every point of view. Sometimes the point of views don't even match. Sometimes the belief doesn't match. Some people are Jewish and some people are Christian. Some people are Islamic. Hindu, Buddhist. They all kind of connect each other. But when it comes to a romantic part, none of those things matters. Age doesn't matter. I have seen people much older than me falling in love with much younger than 23, 24. I always try, many people, and I try to understand, okay, what exactly are they thinking? I mean, especially the young person in this. I mean, it's not just an older guy falling in love with a younger girl. It is, younger guys falling in love with the older women. That happens very often. Nobody really talks about it. Nobody really want to know about it. It happens both ways. So then the thing she said was, that is your reality right in front of you. Then she asked me, see, you told me I should find somebody closer to my age, but the reality of you finding somebody closer to your age is very, 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 nasty, when it comes to it. I'm not saying, falling in love with a 50-year-old woman is nasty, but understand, when you fall in love with a person, is it just for the love of it, or is there any other material parts to it? And something which I talked long time back is something that she brought in, and I asked her, what exactly you mean by that? She said, see, when people, try to fall in love, or they fall in love with each other, there is a reality part to it. They get married and they will have children and they start a family. These things are the material part that comes out of that. What do you think? You are going to fall in love with a 50-year-old lady, and you marry her, and chances of you two having children are almost nil, because she is way past childbearing age. So you may have to go and look for somebody much younger. And I was like, that is not an option at this point of my life, because there is no way I can go and talk to a 20-year-old girl and say, okay, yeah, I like you. I would like to start a family. So I will. So I said, that's not an option. She said, that is the reality you are actually completely pushing away. So she came to that point which I said, I'm way too old for you. She said, maybe you should look at a much younger person than go into this hyper reality of, just for the heck of you like a woman who likes you and loves you, but then you face this brutal reality in front of you of, having, in 20 years down, you are much older, much more older, and she's much more older. Then you don't have anybody to even as a legacy. I mean, there's nobody to actually, in the future. Is that the reality you want to try? And I was like, maybe it's a good idea not to fall in love with anyone, okay, or even try to actually fall in love with anyone. This is the universal part of it. Do you understand? The universal part in this is, even if you are falling in love, there is a material side to everything. And that material side originates from the dream. And that dream is a romantic dream. And that romantic dream is where we need to go and fix things, because it is the dream that you need to make into a reality. And in that dream, there is no material side. Dreams doesn't have material things. You may see things in material, but when it comes to dreams are dreams. Then the material side is something which you need to consider. And you have to be very honest in that. I mean, if you make up like 20 different stories to actually get in love with a woman, and then you come to the material side and say you got married, she cannot bear any children, then you are going to have only one problem. No, actually not one problem. You are going to have multiple problems, and all these multiple problems are going to come and literally destroy the love between you and that person. So to make sure that you or any person who out there takes something that is viable materially when you go into the spiritual part of love. So it is a reverse order we need to actually take. The dream should become a reality, but you have to consider all the material parts that get associated with that dream. If you Charlie is already saying good afternoon. Hey, Charlie, I'm going to read a poem. Okay, I'm talking about that poem. So that material part is something which you need to look very carefully before you consider anything, because some people, some guys fall in love with older women, some women fall in love with somebody like me, and then end up in a never-ending stupidity. That's what's going to happen. Said all that, I'm going to read the poem. Charlie, I'm going to read the poem. Unfortunately, I cannot show the poem, so I'm going to read it out in my accent, and then later I will actually post the words of the poem in the description. The name of the poem is called "The Sprouting Romantic Dream." The drifting time eased at a phase fascinating, and through time past I searched, and in the passing time through imaginations searched, if ever seen her likes in my life, and I found none. Calm like a resting dove she looked, held her peace in utmost romantic charms, gave mind more to imagine and weave, dreams, senses love to weave with passions. Compassion in her eyes in depth shone, a wonderful soul by material world unadulterated. A query of welfare through her shiny smile she asked, and a million flowers bloomed in the folds of my heart. As for her artistic mind, as from her artistic mind she spoke, her imaginations and her views of dreams. Through the drifting time, I too, along with her mood, with wings spreading in the sprouting romantic dream. The poem is only that much. I spoke a lot more about this than because this is the dream, then the reality of that is completely different. Carolina will watch this and she will know what I'm talking about. That's not her real name, but I call her, Carolina. We communicate through a completely different means, so that is a secret, super secret. In the poem or the poem is on lonelypoet.com. Yes. I posted it in July. The new poems are coming. That's why I want to read some of these older ones, because it's getting cold. The colder the weather becomes, the more I write. That's a theory. The practice is, I will explode. As a poet, I will explode as a poet and write more things. I'm sitting in the store, so connecting to this, it is the poem before that is called "Waiting for the Bell to Ring." That is another poem which I will read tomorrow. The context and the real person connected to that is it's really really an amazing personality. I'm going to give a brief idea about it. She is one of my very respected. She respect me a lot, and I respect her a lot. She got 4 or 5 children, I think. And she's an incredible personality going through a very rough time. She got type 4 cancer. So we are all writers. She's a fantastic writer too. But I don't know whether I can. I think I may have to show her book. She actually published a book about her whole this ordeal she's going through. She's out of it, and that's a happy part. I mean, even though she's not cancer free, but she's actually rang the bell. So recently, and I'm very happy for her and kids and her husband. She got one of the best husbands I can see. Anyone, any man will wish. I am that guy, because he's such a passionate and such a fantastic personality. Nobody will even feel jealous about that guy. I mean, he's such a nice guy. So this poem, that poem, when I wrote that, she wrote a post on Facebook, and looking at that post, and I wrote that. So that I will read tomorrow. So this is the show. I'm actually having a customer coming in, so I have to stop this. Okay. Have a nice day, guys.